Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Dinomist deck profile. So I'm really excited for you guys because this deck is actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Zach. And this deck is an extremely fun deck to be able to play with because you can summon out all sorts of amazing boss monsters, control the board, and even OTK the opponent, which is absolutely amazing. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like in your name script every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron. And definitely give Zach some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this, guys. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Dinomist Rex, which is a great boss monster for this deck. This card is absolutely insane because if this card attacks at the end of the damage step, you can tribute any other Dinomist monster that you have on your side of the field to activate one of 2 extremely powerful effects. This card can make a second attack on an opponent's monster in a row, and if it does, it gains the effect that it does piercing damage, which is pretty good. Or you could just shuffle a random card from your opponent's hand at random or their side of the field into the deck, and then this card gains 100 attack points permanently, which is a really good effect. It also has a really interesting pendulum effect that all of your scale 6 monsters actually share with among your Dinomist monsters. That once, while this card is in your pendulum zone, you can negate the activation of a card that targets another Dinomist cards that you control and destroy this card, which is pretty good to be able to stop your opponent's card effects that specifically target your Dinomist cards. We then play 2 copies of Dinomist Spinos. Spinos is actually my favorite among all of the Dinomist cards, and it's just a really good 2-of that has the ability, just like your copy of Rex, that you can tribute one other Dinomist monster to activate one of these effects that either this card can attack your opponent directly or it can make a second attack during each battle phase this turn. Now this card is really good combo with your copy of Limit Removal, especially if you can attack directly with its effect to be able to go in for 5,000 attack points, which is absolutely insane. And all of your scale 3 Dinomist monsters actually share a common effect, just like your copies of your scale 6 Dinomist, that if another Dinomist card you control would be destroyed by battle or by opponent's card effect, you can destroy this card instead, which is a really good effect to be able to protect your cards. I then play 3 copies of Dinomist Brachion. Brachion is a really good card because it can actually special summon itself to your side of the field, because if you do not control another copy of this card in your monster zone, and your opponent controls a monster with the highest attack on the field, even if it's a tie, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is a really good effect to just instantly get this card on your side of the field. I then play 3 copies of Dinomist Ceratops. Dinomist Ceratops is a great 3-of in the deck. It's just overall a fantastic card because it can actually special summon itself to your side of the field, like your copy of Brachion, that if all monsters you control are Dinomist monsters, and you do not control another copy of Ceratops, you can just instantly special summon this card from your hand, which is a really good effect. I then play 3 copies of Dinomist Terron. Terron is a really good 3-of because it's actually a searcher for the deck that when this card destroys an opponent's monster in battle, then you can add a Dinomist card from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect to be able to add cards like your Dinomist Charge, another monster from your deck to your hand, or even a copy of Howling directly from your deck to your hand. We then play 3 copies of Placius. Placius is a great 3-of as well because this card actually brings your opponent's monster's attack points down, which is really nice because it has the ability that all face-up monsters your opponent control lose 100 attack and defense for each Dinomist card that you control, which is a pretty good effect because we do swarm the field with a lot of Dinomist monsters in this deck. I then play 2 copies of Dinomist Ankylos. Ankylos is a really good 2-of in the deck because it actually helps you banish your opponent's cards, because banish any monster that's destroyed a battle with a Dinomist monster that you control, which is super helpful, especially right now with Sprite and Tier Limit running around. This is a really good card, and a lot of cards are graveyard reliant, so this card is a definite 2-of in this build. I then play 2 copies of Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus is a great 2-of in the deck because if another pendulum monster you control battles an opponent's monster, after damage calculation, you can destroy those monsters, which is really cool that basically as long as your monster is attacking, then it's going to destroy that opponent's monster, as long as it's involved in a battle, which is really cool that it just instantly is going to destroy that opponent's monster after the battle, which is just such a good effect. So That's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. By the way, we are playing an equal number of 10 between the scale 3s and the scale 6s in this particular deck. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Instant Fusion, and then we're going to be playing 2 copies of Ready Fusion. This is extremely important in this deck because it comes up all the time that you're going to need your copy of Instant Ready Fusion to summon out cards like your copies of your Sea Monster or even Rare Fish to your side of the field, so you can go in for some rank 5s or even some rank 4 plays, and even go in for a Synchro monster that we're playing in the extra deck. I then played 2 copies of Pot of Desires because we play so many 2s and 3 in this deck. This card can come in extremely handy to just banish 10 cards that we weren't really going to use anyways to get us a draw 2. So this card is a definite 2 in the deck. I really wouldn't consider playing this card at 3 even if it goes to 3, but it's still a great 2 in the deck. I then play 3 copies of Limiter Removal. Limiter Removal is absolutely insane in this deck. It doubles the attack of all of our Dinomist monsters. It stacks, so if you have multiple copies of this card, you can actually go in for game, which is really cool, especially when you combo with cards like Spinos, because if you have Spinos on the field, tribute another Dinomist monster, activate 2 of these, it can attack directly for 10,000 attack points, which is crazy powerful for your Dinomist monsters. So this card is a definite 3 in this build. I then play 3 copies of Dinomist Charge. This card is an absolutely crazy powerful card. Then when this card is activated, you can add a Dinomist monster from your deck to your hand. And then once per turn, if a Dinomist card is added from the field to the extra deck face up, you can add one of those cards to your hand, and you can only activate 1 Dinomist Charge per turn. This card is a great searcher in the deck. It helps us out a lot to be able to just grab another Dinomist that we need from our deck to our hand to get the exact scale that we need to get another monster to make a rank 4, rank 5, or even link summon with those monsters, which is really cool. So this card is a definite 3 in the deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, I'm going to be playing 3 copies of Torrential Tribute. Torrential Tribute is absolutely insane in the deck. It's a really powerful trap card that when a monster is summoned to the field, you destroy all monsters on the field, which is really powerful, especially combo with cards like Dinomist Charge, because then one of them will actually just bounce back to your hand, which is really cool. This card is absolutely insane in the deck to just be able to board wipe your opponent's field and then pendulum summon our monsters back to our side of the field later, which is really cool for this deck. I then play 3 copies of Dinomist Howling. This card is a 1-card pendulum scale, which is absolutely crazy. This card is one of the best cards in the entire deck, because when this card is activated, you can place 1 or 2 Dinomist pendulum monsters from your deck in your pendulum zone, but you can't pendulum summon monsters except for Dinomist monsters until the end of the next turn, which is not that big of a deal because all we're summoning from the main deck anyways, or any of the monsters in the deck, is going to be Dinomist monsters for this particular build, so we're not really summoning anything that this card is actually going to restrict us from. It also has the ability that once per turn, if this card is already face up in your spell and trap card zone, you can tribute a Dinomist monster and then target 1 card your opponent controls and return it to the hand, which is really helpful to help us OTK the opponent. I then play 3 copies of Goes In Match. Goes In Match is a really powerful card in this deck because this card mixed with your copy of your number 4 will actually lock down the opponent, which is really cool unless they're playing water. So Goes In Match is an extremely powerful card that each player can only control 1 attribute of a monster on their side of the field, and you must send all other cards on your side of the field to the graveyard that are not that 1 attribute. So each player gets to pick 1. We always pick water in this deck because that's all of our Dinomist monsters and the majority of our boss monsters we're summoning from the extra deck, which is really cool for this deck. So this card can actually slow down the opponent so we can go in for game. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, I'm going to be playing a single copy of number 4. Number 4 is an absolutely insane boss monster for this deck. This card combo with your copy of Goes In Match makes it so unless your opponent's playing water, they're only going to get to summon 1 monster to the field, because this card makes every face-up monster on the field water, so they must choose water under Goes In Match, which is really cool. This card can also pop a monster on the field that your opponent controls as a quick effect to do half the attack points of that monster as damage to your opponent, helping you close out games. So this card is a definite 1 in this deck. Then play a single copy of Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller is just really good right now to shut down graveyard effects, and also has the ability while it has a material attached to it that's originally a water monster, then all of your monsters gain 500 attack points that are water, which is really good to just give us an additional 500 attack point boost. Then play a single copy of Bahamut Shark because we can detach a material from it and summon our 1 Toad that we play in the deck, just to give us an additional negate in the deck. It's really good to be able to summon out to our side of the field. I then play a single copy of Cyber Dragon Nova, which is really easy to summon to the field because then we make a copy of Infinity directly on top of it to give us a negate in the deck, which is really, really nice in this particular build. It just takes any 2 level 5 machine monsters to make your copy of Nova, and then you can instantly throw your copy of Infinity directly on top of it as soon as you summon it, which is really cool to have your copy of Infinity that can gobble up opponents' cards and can also be a walking negate, and for every material attached to it, it actually gains 200 attack points. We then play a single copy of AA Zeus. AA Zeus is really good in the deck because it can just be a really good board wipe in this particular build. I then play a single copy of the Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign. This card is super easy to make with your copy of Sea Monster plus any level 5 monster that we're playing in the deck. It's a really cool card in this deck because for each banished card, this card gains 100 attack and defense, and monsters your opponent control lose 100 attack and defense, making it so that this card can get absolutely massive under Pot of Extravagance or Pot of Desires, which is just really, really good. And it also has the ability that if a card is banished, then you can banish a card each from your opponent's side of the field and graveyard, and if this card would be destroyed, then you can banish 1 card from your graveyard instead, which is a really good effect if it would be destroyed by card effect, which actually works really well with our copy of Torrential Tribute to board wipe your opponent's field and yours, while you have this on the field to then be able to banish a card from your opponent's field and their graveyard, which is just really, really good for this particular card, and it's super easy to summon. And then play a single copy of Access Code. This could be easily a copy of Boral Sword if you want to make it a copy of Boral Sword. You don't summon it all that often, so it can be any other card that you want to make it if you want to make it a little bit more budget for this deck. 1 copy of Draco Masters of the Tenyi. This is for the link arrows of this card, which are all 3 pointing down. And it's also a really good card because it cannot be destroyed by battle with an effect monster, which is a pretty good effect. 1 copy of Cleafort Genius. I'm actually playing this over Beyond the Pendulum in the deck because this card has a really neat effect. This link summon card is unaffected by spell or trap effects and the activated effects of other link monsters. And then once per turn, you can target 1 face-up card on either player's field except this card, and both of them have their effects negated. And if 2 monsters are summoned to this card at the same time, you can actually add a level 5 or higher machine monster from your deck to your hand, essentially giving you a search when you pendulum summon to this card's zones. And then play a single copy of IP Masquerena because making this card with your copy of Draco Master is really good because you can make this card turn into your copy of Draco Master to make it where it can't be destroyed by battle with an effect monster and it can't be destroyed by card effects, which is really good. And then play a single copy of Sea Monster, which is our tuner, to be able to go in for a copy of our Supreme Sovereign, which is really, really good, and be able to use as an additional link material just in case we need it. 1 copy of Cybersaurus. Cybersaurus is really good just as an additional card that's a machine to help us go into our copy of Cyber Dragon Nova, and then finally Infinity. And finally a single copy of Rarefish as an additional level 4 in the deck that we can bring out with instant or ready fusion to go in for our copy of Bahamut, Dweller, or even number 4 in this particular deck, which is really good. And the reason I play this over cards like Mud Dragon is because of Ready Fusion, which it only lets us special summon normal monsters. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to be able to play with. If you guys have never played with Dinomist before, you definitely should give this deck a try because it's super fun to be able to play. And the really cool thing about Dinomist is everything that's in the Dinomist core is actually pretty much commons or supers, which is really nice. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to be able to play with. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.